This is Badass Billy Gunn, 11-time WWE Tag Team Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Hardcore Champion, and you're listening to IcoPod. You gotta hear this. And if you're not listening to this, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.
We're back with episode 59 of IcoPod. I'm Bob Collins Jr. And with me, as always, is Austin Skinner. Austin, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. We are back from a small sabbatical. We've been off for a handful of weeks. I was supposed to have family in town. They never showed up.
Are you kidding me?
No. Yeah, we were going to go to, my dad's a big Supercross fan, which I've been able to get Bob into as well.
Well, I was into it back in the day with like Carmichael and Jeremy McGrath. But I hadn't watched it recently, yeah.
Right. So I helped kind of Bob rediscover some things.
Yeah.
And I've been watching for probably steady the last 3 years, which, of course, I was also a fan as a younger child as my dad rode motorcycles. But nonetheless, a little bit of backstory there. My dad was supposed to come down, at least him, if not the rest of my inner family, 2 weekends ago. And unfortunately, just due to his work schedule, they couldn't make it. So me and my significant other, my fiance, went instead. So that was very cool. Daytona, Bob, is awesome. Like the track itself is really cool usually.
Yeah.
And the stadium's super, super cool. So
this was a race with the guys like I know, like
yeah.
Tom Hanks. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's unfortunate that your family doesn't love you and they decided not to come out.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah, That's exactly what I'm gathering from it. I'm clearly kidding. I don't want you to start crying or anything.
No, I just wanted to rub in the fact that I met Ricky Carmichael, though, and you didn't.
I don't like Ricky Carmichael. That guy fucking won everything.
You're goddamn right.
Every week on ESPN2 at 10 o'clock in the morning when I was 10 or 11 years old, Ricky Carmichael's in first. Ricky Carmichael's in first. Ricky Carmichael's in first. It's just, I can't deal with it.
That's right. Suck it.
Yeah. A little update with me. I believe 2 episodes ago that we released, I said, hey man, we might get more IcoPod material because I'm going for a job that be 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. I didn't get that job, so I am still on the ever just dread of 1 to 10, so you'll just get your normal amount of IcoPod 11. Although I do have a 2-week vacation coming up here starting on March 27th. As you're probably looking at your calendar, we're recording this on March 21st. We're pretty much back onto a stabilized, like up-to-date recording schedule, which means March Madness is going on right now. Syracuse plays in about 3 hours. But I got 2 weeks going off, 2 weeks off coming up, and Austin and I are planning to do several live watch bonus episodes. We just released Fall Brawl this past Thursday, which would be today, but you're listening to this on a Monday, so go back to Thursday.
Yeah, come on, you know the drill.
Which is today, and then go listen to it.
Right.
But we're, I think, planning right now at least several. I don't know. Several is more than 2. So Havoc 93 would be one. Starcade 93 probably. And then Smoky Mountain. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to bite that bullet.
So Bob is telling you people is that he's off. So he got shit to do. Right. Yeah. He's going to tie my ass up, who's got to come home after work every day and fucking sit on the computer for 3 extra hours.
Yeah.
So fuck me, right?
Yeah. Well, what else are you going to be doing?
Banjo-Kazooie is a great game that I've been playing the shit out of. Because
you could play that while watching Smoky Mountain or something.
Oh, I usually do. Yeah. Live watches, I ain't watching.
Yeah, me either.
No.
Yeah, I tune out as soon as an attractive girl messages me.
Usually. Yep.
And every time that happens, Austin knows it too. And he's like, oh, Bob's not paying attention anymore.
I just pretend you freeze because remember that was a thing. So I just, Bob's frozen.
I don't want to jinx it, but right before we went on here, my internet did kind of crash. But it was getting better. I think it has to do with 2 things. Number one, the weather. I think
You
when
did,
it's like
yes, you did say that.
when it's like -20 outside, it's
Windy as fuck.
yeah, it's pretty bad. Now that it's like clearing up and we're getting to spring and summer,
Yeah.
it's probably going to stay pretty consistent. But another thing is like I have my router on a table like next to my couch, and I Googled like where to put your internet router if it keeps on crashing. And I read it is like, oh, you want to keep it elevated. Right. So I have it on my ledge now, which is higher than the table. And I did that. And I probably went 72 hours without it crashing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
was
no,
like, what
absolutely.
the fuck? Well,
So-
because I thought I put it on the table closer to my Roku.
Right.
Roku is the thing is the issue, really. Like it will stop that. So I
Right.
figured put it closer to the Roku. It turns out that was a horrible idea because that affected everything. So now if I keep it on the ledge, it mostly just impacts Roku, not really my computer. But right before I got on the air here today, it did that. But luckily, it like rebooted itself amazingly quickly. So if I do like crash out, I would probably be back sooner than 6 minutes like it usually is.
Okay. Well, interesting. Yeah. So we've always had ours kind of relatively high up on a desk away from really anything. It's just kind of sitting by itself.
Yeah. I mean, I had it on the ledge. I don't know why I keep on turning my head to the router as if you can see it or anybody at home can see it. That's just stupidity on my part at this point. But I had it on the ledge for a long time back when my living room, I think.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It was like my TV was there.
Yep.
It was fine. And as soon as I like, moved it, then it just like shit the bed. Like everything changed. So it's been going better now.
Speaking of shit in the bed and electronics, I went to start our live feed here so we could broadcast to each other. And YouTube has changed the entire format on how they are letting you do a live broadcast. So I literally just clicked around until I got back where we were supposed to be. So that's going to be a learning curve. I forgot to mention that to you today, Bob. I went in to like do it and it was like, oh, you know, YouTube has a new way of going live. So I click okay, like whatever. And it's literally like, dude, I don't even know. Don't even know. Like there's all these fucking settings. Like I don't even know. So I was finally able to fuck around a little bit. And then it was like, oh, switch back to classic mode. And I was like, fuck yeah, we're switching back to classic mode. So I got to kind of play with that a little bit. It won't affect audio or the show, or you guys will never even realize. But yeah, I want to kind of look into that. Maybe there's ways to make IcoPod even better. But for now, we're gonna stick with classic mode. I think.
Yeah, we'll go with that. And another shitty thing to mention here, I got to issue an apology, Austin. Although I'm pretty sure that they know I was kidding, but just to make sure. I can't remember which episode it was, but it was pretty recently. I had mentioned that Rory from Wrestling 20 years ago puts me on all the shitty shows. Turns out he's the head honcho over there now.
Okay.
He has been for a while. And turns out he listens.
Really?
Yeah, to like all the episodes. I'm pretty sure I had said that at the end. So like he listens. It might have even been the bonus episode. I think it was Fall Brawl 93. So it turns out he listens to at least 3 hours of us just bullshitting. So kudos to Rory. Yeah, so like he knows I was kidding, but they are usually like the bad shows to watch, not like a shitty podcast. I didn't know. I didn't know if there's confusion on that. It's usually bad shows.
Well, here's the thing, and
I like that though. I like that because it's more for me to talk about.
Exactly. Those are the ones that spark more discussion. Like, for example, even on our show, we'll go through awesome Raws, and we'd love to talk about it more, but it's just like, this was fucking awesome. Here's why. That's it.
Right. So like a great example is they had me on what was it? November to Remember 98. It's a pretty fucking bad show. But I was able to talk about stuff.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, like if they had me on Heatwave 98, it's usually a panel of 3, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Heatwave 98 is very good. So, if 3 dudes or 2 guys before me are like, "Oh, this is a great match," what the fuck am I gonna say?
Right.
Yeah. Yep. You guys said what I said.
Right.
It's
we'll do
that.
that. You do that sometimes. And that just goes to show, I think, when it's even a middle of the road episode sparks more conversation than, the best one we've seen of the year, So I think that's a fair point. And I think that's a fair point for our audience to keep in mind that, hey, we might say, wow, this was a really shitty episode of Raw and don't watch it, but if you sit down with a couple of friends and watch it for yourself, you'll probably find you end up in a very deep conversation compared to, the Raw where Razor gets pinned by Kid or whatever. Because I remember specifically that was an awesome episode of Raw.
That whole episode was really good.
Yeah, really good episode. So, I think that's a fair point to make. And shout out to Wrestling 20 Years Ago podcast, because they got some good stuff over there. And I always enjoy when our resident hostee here is on. So
yeah, I mean, it all started with a simple tweet. I went out of my comfort zone. I was like, hey, I'll be a guest host. And then about 2 weeks later, I did Sold Out 98. And I was like, fuck, super nervous. I'd never talked to anybody outside of the United States. Because most of those guys are in England.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And I've been on there almost every month, I think.
Pretty close
for the last year. So
yeah,
sometimes twice a month. So
well, and it's funny because I feel like that kind of helped spark IcoPod a little bit.
Yeah, that was before IcoPod. Yeah.
Right. So because of that, it first of all opened the door for you. And then I was like, well, fucking A, if these guys can do this no problem from the fucking UK, we got to stop bullshitting around. We got to stop, saying, oh, that would be cool. And one day I was like, you know what, Bob, fuck it, let's do it. And there you go.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny if you look back, if you listen to the older episodes, so you can hear us and I with pieces of paper in our hand.
Yeah.
Full-blown notes.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since you moved to Florida, obviously we don't have to deal with that anymore. And it's kind of,
right.
I guess, maybe even easier.
It is. It is pretty easy.
Notes and everything, because we would just use one microphone back then.
Right.
Go from there. But speaking of hanging out with your friends and watching some stuff, this is going to be a long open before we get to the episode, because we still got to do our top 10 favorite that we said we were going to do too.
All right.
But Dallas, our buddy Dallas, has been watching WCW 2000.
Dude, first of all, okay, that's Hogan 98 money, which you guys know.
Hogan 98 money, correct.
For him to do that is so out of his wheelhouse to me. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's awesome at the same time. And I'm always wondering what he's thinking, what he's liking, what he's not, because he's, for lack of a better term, he's a WWE guy. I mean, he still watches pretty regularly. He's in it for the good. He's in it for the bad. I give him credit for that. I always thought I was that until, probably 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, it's blowing my mind, and I'm kind of jealous because, and we've talked about it before, I would love to talk about, WCW circa 99, 2000, 2001. Because I really even though it's just this, think of it, it's just this decade, right? Where beginning of the year was pretty good, but by the end, it's not very memorable most of the time. So where we're at right now, 93, 94, compared to maybe 99, 2000, especially for WCW, I'd say is pretty comparable. There's a lot in there that you got to really dig for, but it's in there.
Yeah.
So I think, shout out to him for doing that, because I know it's not easy, but he's staying pretty dedicated. He's watching the pay-per-views and everything.
Yeah, he's even watching the Thunders.
Yeah.
I know the network has, I think, all of 98, 99 up there now.
I believe so, yeah.
But I have all of them on an external, and he came over on Sunday, and I was like, dude, I'll just give you them instead of me Google driving it to him.
Nice.
So I was like, here, just have what you need.
Yeah.
And so he watches all of them, and it's just priceless. Because these are genuine reactions. Because he doesn't know, he might have an idea of who wins or whatever, but he doesn't know the angles. He doesn't know what they're doing. So he'll shoot me texts throughout the day and be like, holy shit, Kimberly did this to DDP. That got me. And I'm like, dude, that happened 19 years ago, and it got you. And he's just like, I wasn't expecting it.
That's awesome.
He's loving Sting Vampiro, the whole thing. This is bizarre. Scott Steiner, obviously. He just got to Positively Canyon stuff.
Oh, yes.
Which is the best canyon.
Dude. We'll put it this way. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, in the year 2026. We will be there. Don't you worry.
Maybe even before that.
What does that mean?
I'll give it about 10 minutes.
Give it about 10. All right, so carrying on then. I don't know what that means. You're smirking and you're licking your lips towards me now.
You'll know. You'll know.
All right, well, I hope I do. So before we get into these, I think the next 2 weeks of Raws might go a little bit quick. So this little long kind of chit chat isn't the end of the world. The other day, Austin and I were talking about or not the other day, I think it was on the last episode, making a list of our top 10 favorite guys, which in theory sounds really simple until you have to actually make the list. And you have 7 dudes and you're like, I still have 8 more that I would want to put on this.
Brutal.
So what I did, I figure we'll probably maybe do this one by one or something. It's not in any sense of the order of 10 to 1, because that's another headache and a half.
There's no way. No way.
It would just never happen. I kind of went with the approach of the first 10 guys that crossed my mind, I put on there. And then I have a few honorable mentions that I actually thought about.
Right.
I probably would like these guys too.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to, whoever the first guy on your list or whatever, he might be on mine, and then we can just cross him off that way and then just discuss them.
Yeah. Well, I'll pop right off with my first one here. I had Brian Pillman.
He's not on my list, but it's a good one.
And you've known that forever. I've just to kind of go off here on a side note. I went to Brian Pillman Jr.'s going away party to start his wrestling school. I drove from Syracuse to Kentucky, Covington, Kentucky, to be specific, to kind of send him off, as I was able to kind of connect with him via Facebook. So that was cool to really meet him and kind of see where he's been since then is crazy. But yeah, Pillman's always been kind of top of my list guy. I'm friends with his sister Linda on Facebook, who keeps in touch, so that's pretty cool. But just Pillman, for me, total package. Sucks about his career cut short as far as injuries go, but give that guy a couple more years and who knows what happened. So
when did he start? 89? In terms of WCW?
Yeah, late 88 maybe.
Okay, so then he went really until before his injury till 95, 96, right? So 95
full year. Yeah.
He's I think because of the injury he's oftentimes forgotten about.
Yeah,
because when he got into WWF in 97, he was not what he had been.
Not even close. No.
Yeah. The first guy that crossed my mind is arguably one of the greatest entertainers ever. Maybe Hulk Hogan.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah. You know what? And I know it's shocking.
Whew.
When we've had this debate before, even on here, we've mentioned it. I'm a Hogan guy over a Flair guy.
See
how it's going to be.
I thought you were going with somebody else right off the bat. That's why I'm pretty surprised by that.
This is the first guy. That guy is on my list. Don't worry. This is the first guy that crossed my mind.
Okay.
The guy that you're probably thinking about, he's number 5. That
we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Not in your heart, number 5.
Right. Yeah. Right. That we'll talk about.
Sure.
And it's just because I don't know. It's just weird. You see a house show, and this is from I like to think of it as me reviewing a show. If I see a main event of Ric Flair against Dusty Rhodes, and then I see one that is Hulk Hogan against Paul Orndorff, I'm gonna go on to see Hulk Hogan, Paul Orndorff, or if it's even Hulk Hogan against
Earthquake.
Oh my, yeah, I'm gonna see that instead. I would want to see that instead of Flair Steamboat.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Flair Steamboat's gonna be the better match. There's no doubt about that. They've had 5-star classics numerous times over.
Right.
But the spectacle of Hogan and a guy like Earthquake or Hogan, or Hogan Andre, for instance, to me is just more interesting, because Hogan just is larger than life, and is just a huge megastar, and it's a guy that I would want to go see. I can go back and watch Hogan matches, no problem.
Well,
no problem.
And I think that that's a really good kind of comparison, because first of all, in the wrestling scene today, there's not anything like that. There's no spectacle. There's no grandeur. Everybody can do fucking ridiculous wrestling moves, and nobody's set apart. Everybody's pretty even as far as skill, I would say, especially through, the indie scene right now. Everybody's fucking talented. Everybody's doing Flair Steamboat matches for the most part. You're seeing that. I think that that's a lost art, and maybe that's kind of plays into the factor for you because Bob, you've seen quite a bit of indie stuff, present, past, regardless.
Yeah.
So I think for you specifically, you still really cherish that and appreciate it because it's kind of, like I said, a lost art these days. And there's nobody better than Hogan to do that. Nobody better, past or present, as far as getting the most out of doing the least, if that makes sense.
No, it's 100%. Like today, you'll see a suicide dive in the first match, and then every match, including the main event.
Right.
Today, you'll see. That's today. Back then, it's like you would maybe see the dives in the cruiserweights or whatever, and then like Hogan would keep you there. Hogan got you there.
Yeah.
You'd see everything else, and like, whoa, but you're still leaving talking about Hogan.
Right.
And yeah, doing like. Because realistically, what did he do? He did punches, a big boot, leg drop,
scoop slam. Not even really. I mean, a suplex here and there.
Like all Japan stuff. Yeah, if you were to do it in Japan. But yeah, it's just something about his persona.
His presence is larger than life.
Yeah, and it's just like I would want to watch that.
Absolutely.
I mean, like on wrestling 20 years ago, I was talking about how I don't want to see Hogan Flair for the millionth time, but I would still buy a pay-per-view for that.
Right.
Even though the outcome of it, it's still Hogan Flair.
Right.
You know what I mean? So but yeah, he was the first one.
He's a good one. He, again, just like Pillman for you, he wasn't on my list, but he's a good one.
All right. The second guy on my list that came to my mind was Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, fuck yeah to that. Eddie Guerrero is on my list. He didn't jump to mind immediately, kind of like second place, but growing up, Eddie Guerrero was my first favorite wrestler. Past WCW days, so like when I actually started, regularly watching wrestling, Eddie Guerrero at the time was the guy. So yeah, I totally agree. Another total full package, character, in-ring, passion, fucking 10 out of 10, one of the greatest ever, and should be on anybody's top 10 list. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's just, I think he came to my mind because I was watching an episode of Saturday Night and he was on it. And he is so crisp in everything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
It's just remarkable. Because like in WCW, he was just, Eddie Guerrero, the wrestler, and then he became Latino, a character. He showed that he had everything. I could watch Eddie Guerrero wrestle all
the look. Eddie's look was awesome.
Yeah, I could watch the Frog Splash, the best Frog Splash.
Yeah.
Maybe D'Lo Brown could be the candidate for the.
I'd argue Art Barr had the best Frog Splash, but okay.
Whatever. Art Barr is a criminal, and no, but yeah. So Eddie definitely came to mind. So
absolutely, and really like another guy like Hogan. You think of Eddie. You see Eddie Guerrero on a card, you probably want to watch the match. I mean, with anybody, it doesn't really matter. So absolutely 100% agree. He was on my list. Okay. Second who came to mind on my list was our very own, he's not a nugget, Owen Hart. Love Owen. I think, again, he's a pretty much a full package. I mean, character-wise, maybe not quite the level of an Eddie Guerrero. But again, solid in the ring. He could go in there with anybody and have a fucking pretty decent match. Even some of the enhancement matches we've seen, as of late, he makes something out of them. Wicked passionate. And I even appreciate Owen outside of the ring as far as just stories and, book retellings that I've heard from him. Fun fact, I plan to, not because Kevin Owens fucking did, but I plan to name my first son after Owen Hart. So yeah, big fan of Owens. Have been for a while. Name your
kid Nugget?
Yeah. Why, you're not? I thought we agreed on this.
No.
It's going to be our son, Bob. What do you mean?
No, my first kid's name will be Mistake.
Wow.
With a Y.
Ms. Steak. It's like a luchador, Ms. Steak.
That's right. She'll always wear a mask too.
I like that. But yes, that he was number 2 on my list for me.
Yeah, he's not on my list, but he's just always been good, solid guy.
And I think he's still underappreciated. Eddie Guerrero, Hogan,
Well, see, the thing with Owen, because you could name a bunch of, enjoyable matches with Hogan with multiple different opponents. Same with Eddie. I think Owen kind of falls in the situation where it's like his best matches were with Brett.
Right.
You know, it's not like, oh, he had great
Or
matches
Shawn.
with this guy. Or Shawn.
It's got to be somebody who
was really good.
Can pull their own too, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Owen didn't get a lot of that. So, you know.
My third guy. Oh, unless you want to do your third.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You go.
This one's going to be kind of maybe controversial. So I'm just going to say that this is not the human being. This is the character. Chris Benoit.
So, funny thing, not to cut you off, but when we were doing, because we were going to do 2 lists. We were going to do your favorite 5 or your favorite 10, and then you think the best of all time 10.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit was on my list number 2 as best of all time. We're never going to see anything in the ring like Chris Benoit again.
No.
He's still got some of the best German suplex of all time is Chris Benoit. His stuff in Japan, his stuff in Mexico, his stuff in the United States, all consistent, all worth watching. He's one of those guys where you have maybe this will be an okay match, and then you insert Chris Benoit in, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a really fucking good match. Like, I forget which WCW pay-per-view we watched, kind of one of our first live watches.
Super Brawl 3 probably.
Yeah, and it was just a random, here's Chris Benoit match, and holy fucking shit, it was the best thing we'd seen on the podcast so far. Hands down. So, huge props to Chris Benoit's in-ring career. I'm one of the ones, just like Bob is, who can separate his in-ring career from his demise. I think it's pretty hard to argue, though, and I think a lot of people in the business agree with both of us that he's definitely got to be top 5 best of all time.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite wrestlers, and like when it came to like just WCW guys.
Yes.
He was my first one, and I just remember because I was like 9 during the peak Monday Night War times, and like Benoit would never win a championship.
Right.
He'd always lose the Booker T, and I'd be fuck, like this guy's never gonna win. So like I was always rooting for him, and I think the last time, maybe aside from like Daniel Bryan's victory at 30, WrestleMania 30, is when Benoit wins the title at WrestleMania 20.
Yeah,
that is like one of the last times where I was watching WrestleMania. This is that's 2004. So I was like about 15, about to be 15.
Yeah.
That's like the last time where I was like invested. Like he needed to win.
Yeah.
Like I'm invested in this.
After a fucking awesome match, by the way.
Phenomenal. I've gone back and watched that a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I remember I was looking up results, and like that 3-way happened in Syracuse.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And my first house show was in August of 2005.
Right.
And that was in the spring of 04, before WrestleMania.
Sure.
And I was like, fuck, man, could you imagine seeing Triple H, Shawn, and Benoit?
Yeah, right.
At a Syracuse house show. You know they're going 20.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, doing the Kinks for their fucking Mania match, probably.
Yeah, right.
Like that would have been insane. But
wow.
He was for sure in WCW, he was my guy.
Yeah, I agree.
And eventually, when he goes to WWF, still my guy, but strictly WCW. Yeah.
Good one. That's another good one. Third on my list was Bret the Hitman Hart.
Bret is on my list.
I'm an old school Bret guy. Was
Benoit not on yours?
He's not on my fave 10. He was, like I said, he was on my best of all time 10, but he didn't make it to my fave 10. He's definitely, if we did a top 20, Benoit's in that list.
Okay.
But so for Bret, I've always loved Bret Hart, the look, the character, the in-ring stuff. I had him sign my throwback Winged Eagle championship replica, which is currently hanging up in my apartment, much to the chagrin of my fiance. So yeah,
she'll probably live with it with that diamond on her finger.
Damn right. Always been a Bret guy. I know Bob's a big Bret guy. I don't know what it is about Bret because he's kind of got the historical kind of crybabiness to him. But first of all, I love his book as well. Big fan of Bret Hart's book.
I love how in depth it is.
Yes. So if you haven't read that, first of all, fucking go read that or get the audiobook or whatever and go through that.
Does Bret do the audio?
I don't know. I just made it up.
If he did the audio for that, I'd listen to it.
That'd be fucking awesome.
I had to fucking fight the Mountie and fucking made me tap out. Fucking bullshit.
Dynamite brought me into his car, said he was gonna kill his family. Yeah. So big Bret Hart guy. Bob, where did he fall on your list?
He was actually the last guy I thought of.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But yeah, he was again, like for my fanhood, he was the first guy when I like was aware of wrestling, I think.
Yeah.
To be my guy. And when it came to watching older stuff, eventually my true number one diehard fan that materialized, and we'll get to him in a couple minutes here. But yeah, like Bret, I mean, watching him against Diesel like 95, 96, 94 even.
Austin. Shawn.
Stone Cold, right? Yeah. I'll never forget a memory of watching, for some reason, like on Livewire, they showed the complete cage match of him and Diesel at the pay-per-view that happened like the week prior. And I didn't know what the hell happened. So I'm like watching it, I'm like, holy shit, my God, Bret, don't lose the belt. Don't fucking lose the belt. And I remember watching it with my mom's friend, Susan. And yeah, I was just freaking out. I was just like, every commercial break, I was like, fuck, like I need to know. Luckily he won because the Undertaker got involved. But
right.
Yeah, Bret was for sure my go-to. It's a shame what happened with WCW, how like nothing happened for him there.
I know, but you know what? He still had some moments there, which, I'll take.
It's funny, like if we were to ever do like deep dives on people's careers, like in WCW, it's amazing how many pay-per-views he missed just because they didn't book him.
Right.
And
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just a shame that they basically signed him to not use him.
Right.
Just so that WWF didn't have him. That's like essentially what it comes down to.
Well, they just dropped the ball.
Yeah, but he's the U.S. champion. Like,
right.
I'm sorry, like the U.S. championship is cool and all, but like Bret Hart should not be wrestling for the U.S. championship.
Right.
Okay, he shouldn't be fighting Will Sasso on Nitro. That just should not be happening.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
What are you doing?
Exactly. Although one of my favorite, not I guess WCW, but one of my favorite little segments that I remember of Bret Hart is where the kids, down the hall, Bret.
Yeah.
Around. Dude, so fucking cool. Bret Hart was the shit. He always will be in my mind. He's on my top 10. He'll always be in my top 10 favorites. So absolutely.
I might have to bite the bullet and have him do an opening for IcoPod. So
ooh, that's a hefty price.
It's Bret Hart, man.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't care.
He's fucking awesome. He
is. He's
when I met him, was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I've met two wrestlers. Foley, who I told him my name was Bob, and he asked me how to spell it, so I spelled it out to him, and he said I was joking. And I said, yeah, I know.
What a dick.
Yeah. All right, Foley. So whatever. And then, but Bret was like super laid back, like
dude. Oh my god,
awesome guy. He's just. I was like, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to say anything. I was like, Bret, I just wanted to like thank you for like my childhood.
And you're not that guy.
I'm not.
You're not that guy.
I wouldn't meet Hulk Hogan for $10. I wouldn't do it.
And we've discussed that. Discussed that.
And Hulk Hogan's one of my favorites.
Right. I
wouldn't meet him, but I met Bret.
He was free, to be fair. He was free.
No, I had to pay for that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
Foley was free.
Well, didn't you do like the VIP? Thing?
Both of them were VIPs, but my buddy, like his birthday present, got me with the Foley one.
Right.
And I paid for the Bret Hart one.
That's right. I forgot you did the VIP. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, yeah, totally worth it. If you get the chance to meet Bret Hart, he's super down to earth. He really made me feel like he took his time with me and like wanted to make that personal connection before I walked off. Yeah. Of course, I talked to him about Owen a little bit, but yeah, he's definitely one of the guys as far as meeting. Super good experience. Yeah. Wicked nice.
Yeah, no question. My, I guess fifth one, because I'll just say Bret was on there. My fifth one is Kurt Angle.
He was another guy just like Benoit for me, who is like top 10 of all time. Kurt Angle was on that list. Unfortunately, he did not make it to my fave. 10.
Really?
Yeah, he's fucking hilarious. Don't get me wrong, he's fucking hilarious.
I think he is phenomenal from like the year 2000 until 2013.
Oh, he helps make the years.
Phenomenal. Yeah,
Absolutely, he does. For me, I think it's just from the characters that I relate to. I don't know. I didn't relate to Kurt Angle. But
I'm not an
ring,
Olympian, so
well, I don't know.
I do like chocolate milk, not milk. I like chocolate milk.
I prefer.
I prefer to be bald.
Yes, you do.
Maybe I am Kurt Angle.
I think so. But yes, I agree with you. Again, in the ring, some of the best, most crisp offense, grappling, legitimate. Like it looks like a real match with Kurt Angle. Yeah, he's another one where you do a top 10 of all time. Kurt Angle's kind of got to be in there.
Yeah, he's another guy I could watch his stuff all day.
Yep.
I really enjoy it.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Going back to my list here, we're going to be ravishing Rick Rude in my fave 10.
Yeah, he's on my list too.
Again, another one of those guys where put it on, I can watch it. I go out of my way to find Rick Rude stuff. He's one of the only guys where I will literally go on the network, search Rick Rude, and just play through some matches just for the fuck of it because it's Rick Rude. Super, super underrated, I think. Not enough people are talking about Rick Rude. Another guy who's like felt legitimate. Like when he's throwing his moves and stuff, maybe not so much selling. His selling was a little comedic.
Yeah.
But when he's throwing punches, when he's throwing you in a suplex, when he's hitting his fucking, Rude Awakening, it all looks like it fucking hurts. And I like that.
Rude is one of my favorites. It really dates back to, for me, his matches with Steamboat, which we've talked about.
So good.
His rivalry with Sting.
Yep.
Back in the day.
Yep.
I feel like there's not a lot out there for people to watch in terms of like stuff that have been filmed.
I agree. And it's a shame too, because even with his WWF run, I mean, yeah, there's memorable feuds, but not nearly compared to some of the other guys on these lists. I think the best work he ever did was for WCW, and I think that's pretty hard to argue.
Yeah.
So, go out of your way to at least find some WCW stuff. But I agree with you, Bob. I don't think there's really enough for him to kind of budge his way up there more often with people. So,
yeah, I would suggest watching his stuff with Steamboat for sure. Super Brawl 2, Beach Blast 92.
Yeah, those Iron Man matches.
Yeah, his matches with Sting were pretty good too. So. Okay, my next one here, Randy Savage, obviously,
absolutely
is my favorite ever. You know when he's a pimp in WCW with the three ladies that he slaps around.
That's right.
Macho Man's my guy. I mean, he's always gonna be my guy. The day I found out, the day he died, my dad. I've told the story a couple times. My dad waking me up. Hey Bob, remember Macho Man Randy Savage? Yeah, Dad. Yeah, he died. What? Yeah, it's on CNN. He's dead.
Go back to sleep.
It's like, thanks. It's like, it's every time, even with like Brett, right? He always gets Brett and Owen confused. He'd be like, yeah, remember when Bret died? Bret Hart? Remember when Bret Hart died? I'm like, what? So, yeah, remember he was in the paper. He fell from the rafters there. Yeah, that was sad. Yeah, well, it is sad, Dad, but that's Owen. He's like, you sure? Of course, it was Brett.
As if you don't know.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like,
oh man, your dad's a funny motherfucker.
He's just not even aware.
I just feel like he's always fucking with you.
His favorite wrestler is Doink the Clown. Not even
that's true.
Doink is Doink the Clown, and I don't know if that's a practical joke on me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Babyface Doink is one of the worst characters ever, and he's just he's like, oh, I love that clown and that midget. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
make me laugh every time. Doink and Dink. Hey, are they still alive, Bob? Like, every time I have to tell him that Matt Bourne died, he's not. He's like, oh man, that's too bad. Like, those guys are my favorites. Every fucking time.
Yeah, your dad's a classic.
It all happened. I'll never forget. I was watching WrestleMania 10, when I was a kid. It was Bam Bam Bigelow against Doink or whatever, and my dad's just like, "Who's the little guy?" That's Dink. He's like, oh, who's the big one? I was like, that's Doink. He's like, Doink and Dink. And he watched the entire match with me. That was the only thing he watched. He didn't watch Bret Owen. He didn't watch ladder match. He watched nothing. He watched that match and then he laughed. He's like,
he's had his fill.
Yeah, he was like, I don't need to watch any more of this.
Probably because
then years later, he'll just continually ask me all the damn clowns.
Well, probably because it validated how silly wrestling was for him. So he's like, okay, I'll watch this. This fits the bill here.
Yeah, maybe for him it was like, oh, my son's not watching guys in tights, sweaty, touching each other. He's not gay. All right, so
he's just watching a stupid fucking clown.
It's a cartoon. All right, we're good. He's just not mature. He's all right, great. It's fine.
Going back to Savage, though.
But hang on a minute. I'm pretty sure my dad thought that my like for professional wrestling was just like a phase.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know how many times he'd be like, "You still like this, man?"
That's like, most parents, man.
Yeah, but then like I think when I hit like 21 and I was still watching, I was going to shows. I think he was just like, "It's not drugs, so I guess it's okay."
Hey, yeah,
there you go.
Could be worse.
Okay. Yeah. I should have brought him to a 2CW show. I think he would have lost his shit.
Yeah, he would have went nuts.
He would have been like, what the hell are these people doing, Bob? Where's Doink?
How often do they do this? Can I come again? That's so funny.
He would have gone to Lookers after.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. To the
Bob, it was nice seeing half naked dudes wrestle for a minute, but I'm going to go next door with these half naked broads. And
fucking A.
I'm going to make you a real man, Bob. All right, here we go.
Meanwhile, Bob's heading to Tully's. Fuck that. Fuck that.
Dropping off Tully's tenders to my neighbor there. Yeah.
But yeah, Savage, hands down, not much more we need to say about him. Absolutely top 10 for sure.
For sure. No doubt.
Next on my list, who I can almost bet my entire year's salary on, not being your list, Bob.
Okay.
Is Hayabusa, the Japanese masked wrestler. Pioneer, innovated such moves as the Phoenix Splash, as used by Seth Rollins. So, yes, big Hayabusa fan. Love his stuff, specifically, obviously, in FMW, his home company, which he almost exclusively wrestled for. There's gems out there, though. He was very close to signing with WCW at one point, which I thought was very interesting.
That's when Sullivan was there, right?
Yeah, yep. So he met with Nash, he met with Russo. It was at a time where Liger was still working with the company, and Liger was trying to recruit Hayabusa not only to WCW, but New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. But of course, he stayed loyal, which is a big thing in Japanese wrestling, which again, I give him kudos for because, towards the end of his run there, FMW was really having some struggles. So he's a company guy. He was a top star for them for a long time. Classics with Onita, hardcore deathmatch wrestling. He was almost untouchable. If he was one of the guys who inspired Sabu. So I think those are all huge pluses to Hayabusa, and he's no longer with us as well. So yeah, he made my list of my top 10.
So my dad would be like, "Hey, us, remember the Hayabusa? Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, remember when he snapped his neck? It was in the papers.
Yeah. How's he doing?
Yeah.
Is he walking yet? Or?
Oh man, that's too bad.
Oh yeah. So did he have a midget?
What about Doink? Have you seen Doink?
How's Doink and Dink?
Oh man,
ridiculous. I don't have much of anything for Hayabusa. I know you had like one ECW match or something like that, which was like a train wreck, I guess, but a train wreck in the sense of like they didn't sell anything and they were just splashing on each other, hitting each other with chairs.
Well, my favorite thing about that match is Hayabusa's favorite memory was that the crowd chanted "You fucked up" at him. Like he liked how honest the American crowd was with him.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's great. Well, the next guy on my list is the same guy that asked me how to spell Bob. That'd be Mick Foley.
Whoa. Okay.
So the whole thing with Mick Foley, okay. This is a lot of it's based off my childhood, especially for this. If you've noticed, my list is mostly old timers. It's not really present day wrestlers.
Right.
Mick Foley. It really goes back to like the Hell in a Cell match with Taker, throwing himself off shit, and then going back and like watching his stuff as Cactus Jack. So I'm incorporating the many different aspects.
Right.
Of
Sure. Mhm.
He is a guy, when you see him on the show, you want to know what the hell is he going to do.
Not
And I
only
like
that-
that.
Yeah, and not only that though, he's the guy where you see him on a show, he's gonna give fucking 200%,
Yeah.
no matter who it is.
Yeah.
He's not big time in anybody.
No, right. And then and a major reason like for why I wanted to meet Foley, like I wasn't gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna meet him, was because all the stuff he did like destroyed his body.
Right.
And like no one else in their right mind would do that. No one else is gonna be like, hey Taker, toss me off the cell. I'll go through the table. Be great. I'll be fine. No big deal. Like if somebody approached me with that, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. No,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
I would not willingly dump myself onto thumbtacks. Just not gonna happen.
Right.
Or go through a flaming table.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry. But I mean, like Mankind, when Mankind first came around, I was gravitated towards that because it was like dark and spooky, and like I took it as a guy who was like sad, not like mad or demeaning.
Right.
He was sad, and for some reason, being 7 years old or whatever, I was just like
captivating.
Yeah, it was so different compared to all these like lively characters.
Yes.
So I was just like, what is wrong with this Mankind guy? Like I wanted to know more, and I guess followed him ever since then. So I figured maybe Foley would be a surprising one, but I had to put him in there because he's a guy that literally every time I see him, he's on the show. Like I'm going to watch it because I want to see what he's going to do to his body.
And I have to say too, I think kind of controversially, my favorite Mick Foley character is definitely Mankind. I know a lot of people are going to say Cactus Jack, but I think some of his most creative stuff, even as far as like some of his in-ring stuff, was as Mankind. So Mankind for me is number one when it comes to
the mandible
Foley.
claw. The mandible claw move to me was the most devastating move. And in hindsight, it's just a guy shoving his fingers down somebody's throat.
Right. But
which is pretty easily like you can counter that.
Yeah, but you know what? That's because Mick Foley made it that way.
Yeah.
He made you believe.
For sure. So yeah, 100% he's on my list.
That is a good one. Going back to Japan for my next one.
Jushin Thunder Liger.
Jushin Thunder Liger. Not much you can say other than probably number 3, 4 ever out of Japanese wrestling. Right there of all time. So, junior heavyweight, WCW stuff, crossover superstar, still wrestling as of 2019, getting ready to retire in 2020. Mm-hmm. So longevity, fucking puts together the first Super J Cup, which was huge and catapulted a lot of guys, Chris Benoit being one of them on a international stage. I could go on and on about Jushin Liger, his look, his moves, his innovations, fucking everything. Big Jushin Liger fan, huge Jushin Liger fan.
Yeah, I mean, the only stuff I've ever really seen is his WCW stuff.
Sure.
To be, quite honest with you, but it's fucking great. It's really good stuff. His stuff, obviously, with Pillman. Later on with, Malenko and, oh my God, it was just on the top of my head. Mysterio, Ultimo Dragon, guys like that.
I was going to say, Bob, one of these days you have to go out of your way to watch some of his Ultimo Dragon stuff in Japan. It's fucking awesome. It's awesome.
You know this pretty well. 2 years ago or so, I bought a shit ton of New Japan wrestling shows from IVP videos. I've maybe watched one.
Yeah.
I bought like 40.
Right.
Most of them were Tokyo Dome shows, but there's also some other like, lower level shows or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just tough to sit through a 4.5 hour, 5 hour Japan show.
I totally agree. That's why you just got to hit up YouTube one of these days, search for a Liger Dragon match. Just watch it. His stuff with him is fucking great. He's done so much with so many guys. It's ridiculous.
Even his stuff with Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
He had some
sure.
good matches in there too. So
Sure.
in TNA and he had one with Tyler Breeze.
His brief stint. Yep, a match with Tyler Breeze at Takeover. I believe it was Takeover Brooklyn a couple of years ago.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just so much. You could spend weeks watching good Liger shit, weeks on end.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to do it one of these days. Maybe on my 2-week vacation, I can dedicate a little bit for Jushin Liger. Maybe I'll review like 5 random Jushin Liger matches. That could be fun.
You won't be disappointed.
We'll see. Next guy on my list is Steve Austin.
Oh, okay.
Which would be both stunning and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
I mean, back when he was stunning, he was a stunning wrestler.
Technician.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He had hair.
His promo work back then was great.
Yeah.
You know, it's and then obviously with Stone Cold, he might have been beaten down a little bit.
Yeah.
Focus more on brawling, but I mean, come on. Yeah, that was the easy one for me. Stone Cold Steve Austin. So.
Yep. He's in my honorables.
Really?
Yeah, Mr. Steve Austin's in my honorables.
Wow.
Again, I went strictly favorite 10. Not necessarily the guys who came off the top of my head, but when I think of my favorite wrestlers, these were the guys I had now.
I think everybody I'm listing are favorites.
Yeah. No, I think so, because if they came to your head first, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Savage, again, was on my list. We covered him. Mm-hmm. Eddie Guerrero, we also covered. So remember how I said, hey, Bob, give me 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Chris Kanyon makes my top 10.
That is a surprising one.
Fucking Chris Kanyon. Because again, there's not a lot out there that is super notable. Sure. But everything Kanyon did, in my opinion, other than maybe like the fucking handyman thing, was good. Like, I love Mortis.
Are you talking about the handyman, like the Men at Work thing?
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
See, I haven't seen enough of it, because every time I see him in that outfit, I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, so here's the thing. That was never a character that got airtime. It was like enhancement guys.
Yeah.
They're a job team. But I have a WCW magazine where they have like a spotlight on them, and they're just like every picture is them sleeping on the job.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
I thought it was priceless. They're just like, whatever. Like, let's go home.
You're just getting a paycheck.
Yeah, it was just, I thought it was like they're in like a fucking trash can.
Oh, see, I haven't seen enough of that then, I guess. But yeah, Mortis, Positively Canyon, Champagne Canyon, even though he hated doing that. Post Flock Canyon is fucking awesome. Yeah, Canyon's on my list. Like, another innovator in the ring. Not super good on the mic, but he'd say funny shit. Like Obi-Wan Jabroni is a Canyonism, and I use that all the time. So I think Kanyon was kind of ahead of his time.
He was.
So I think that kind of plays as another factor of my appreciation for him, because every time I see Kanyon, I'm just like, fuck yeah, I wish this guy did more. Even into the early 2000s, like with WWE, when he was still with them, he just... Unfortunately, like I said, he's another one of them guys who had something but didn't get enough opportunity to show it, I think.
Yeah. No, Kanyon, he's a good one. Yeah, that is actually a really good one.
I think if Kanyon was still alive today, I think he'd still be playing a role into wrestling, training backstage, being with NXT, something. Sure. If not on camera, something.
For sure. Like Joey Janela would probably get him to do a show.
Absolutely. Mortis. Yeah, absolutely.
He's another guy that has a good book.
Yes. Yep. Canyon's book is very good.
You should check that out. Yeah.
Yep, I have that one.
Canyon's a really good one.
Yep.
The last guy on my list is the guy that I have said on IcoPod. He should have all the goddamn belts. He should win every match. He should be in every single match. I don't fucking care. It's Scott Steiner.
I know. I almost put Scotty on there. I almost fucking
had to do it. Even when he like dives off a deep end in terms of in-ring ability, he makes up for it for his ridiculous promos.
Because he turns it up to fucking 12.
Yeah. But like he had great matches with Samoa Joe and TNA and stuff. So like he redefined himself and everything.
Yeah.
He had to be. The Steiner screwdriver is one of the greatest moves
Oh,
I've ever seen. The
fucking
first time
A.
I saw that, I lost my mind. I had to rewind it back when VHS tapes were a thing. I rewound it, and I was just like, how is that guy not dead?
Yeah. No,
It
literally.
was amazing.
Yeah.
He's great. He is he's like a guy like Eddie Guerrero in his like prime time, like so crisp. The Frankensteiner nail it. He's just the look he had. It's
Fucking
like,
jacked is a beast, aggressive, fucking outspoken.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, even when he's like kind of a flop in the ring, he's still got the fucking bleached hair, the chainmail, the fucking glasses,
the maroon
coming out
thong.
with a goddamn tiger out to the ring.
Yeah, the maroon thong, sure.
The maroon thong, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steiner's an easy one. See, that's what I mean, though. Like, coming up with these lists, fucking A, I wanted to put 20 guys in the top 10.
Right.
You know?
It's tough.
It is. It's tough.
Yeah.
My last guy to round out my list here was the Great Muta. I think Muta's another one of them guys. Again, maybe top 4 or 5 ever from Japan. Super crossover star. Every move he does is so deliberate and crisp in the ring. The mist, the aura of the Asian mist is huge. The face paint, the entrance gear, NWA champion, like just so many things with Muta. And he's another guy who's fought them all, had good matches with all. Even Hogan in Japan, Muta's had some good stuff with. So yeah, Muta was in my top 10 for sure.
So we kind of had a drastic. Is that your last one?
That's my last one. Yep.
Yeah. So our list there, I mean, we had some similarities, but you obviously went with a bunch of Japan guys.
I tried to encapsulate everybody because again, I've always been a big Japanese wrestling.
Well, that's
fan,
your taste,
so.
right? That's your
yeah.
taste.
Yep.
So I was glad that it wasn't like, oh, he's on my list too. Oh yeah, he's on my list too. Like we had the same list, so that was neat that we had different
Yeah.
guys.
So just to run down mine again, I had Pillman, Owen, Brett, Rude, Hayabusa, Liger, Savage, Muta, Eddie Guerrero, and Chris Kanyon.
I guess I should do the same too, because I'm sure Mike Campbell, our resident historian, will reference it later if we ever change it. I had Hogan, Guerrero, Benoit, Brett, Kurt Angle, Rick Rude, Randy Savage, Mick Foley, Steve Austin, Scott Steiner.
Yeah, I went with some wild cards for sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. We did. I mean, I have what 7? I think 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7 honorable mentions.
Okay.
You said you have 5.
I have 5.
All right, so we should probably just burn through these then. We shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So my honorable mentions, I'll just list them all at once. Booker T.
Ooh.
Jerry Lynn.
Wow.
Yeah. Bryan Danielson.
That's another surprising one.
Triple H.
Okay.
Jerry Lawler. AJ Styles.
Okay. That's a good one.
A more modern one would be Kenny Omega.
Yeah. So some of your honorable ones are a lot are pretty modern.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So maybe you need more time for those guys before they crack your top 10.
I think Danielson could get in there.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure maybe I have to take out like Foley or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Something
Omega.
like that.
Omega could probably get in there. I mean, there's so much of his Japan stuff I haven't seen that I don't even know. But
right.
Yeah. Jerry Lawler, though, just because I've been watching a lot of Memphis, like he's like the only star like throughout the whole run so far that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, he just sticks.
No,
out.
he's a good one. I'm surprised Jerry Lynn.
Jerry Lynn is incredibly underrated. I just watched his match with RVD at Living Dangerously 99, which I'll be talking about on Wrestling 20 years ago. In fact, this Sunday I'll be doing that. They'll be released, I think, sometime in April.
Right.
But yeah, just like anytime if I watch a indie show or anything and I see Jerry Lynn on it, I'm like, that's probably going to be a good match. And like every time it is.
Right.
Yeah, he's not much of a promo guy or a character, but he's just a good wrestler. You know, he knows what he was doing. So he was probably one of my favorites in ECW, I would say, for sure.
Okay.
And even in the early stages of TNA, like a lot of his stuff with AJ and Low-Ki and stuff.
Yeah.
Like usually not mentioned or talked about very often.
Right. Right. Okay. I like that. For me, my 5 were John Moxley / Dean Ambrose.
Okay.
Roddy Piper.
Who got you into Dean Ambrose?
That would be Bob Cowling Jr.
Thank you.
Yeah. Chris Jericho in my honorables.
Okay.
Steve Austin
Mhm.
and Tetsuya Naito, the big Naito guy, who is a current New Japan star.
Nice. Should I tell my Dean Ambrose story now?
Yes, I think you should.
Okay, so years ago, this is 2006, I came across Heartland Wrestling Association. They had an online show, like way ahead of their time.
Yeah, Adrenaline.
Yes. Yep. I don't know how I came across it, but I did. And he was Mr. John Moxley was feuding with a gentleman by the name of Cody Hawk. Now, I liked Cody Hawk basically just off of Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines because he was a surfer guy and he looked cool to me. I don't know why, but like PWI would have a picture of him in one of their 500s that I have somewhere in my apartment here. And I came across it. I'm like, holy shit, Cody Hawk. And this John Moxley guy's like beating the shit out of him. I'm like, this is crazy. And they had a show coming up. I think Cyber Clash or Cybercade or something like that. Cyber Clash maybe 2.0. And I was like, oh my God, it's $10. Like, I'm never going to be able to get this and whatever. Right. So I forgot about it for a decade.
Yeah.
Right? And then I just, was like, whatever happened to that match? So, years on, I watched it. But Dean Ambrose had an appearance, or John Moxley, I should say, had an appearance on In Your Head Wrestling Online, which is hosted by Neil Jones and 1 Inch Bicep. I used to do their interview recaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually in their Hall of Fame too, by the way. Just want to brag there. He was on the show and I asked him because, Neil would ask if anybody would want to ask questions or anything. And I sent the question of like, what's your memories with Cody Hawk? And when he said it, anytime like that happens to me, like I immediately get anxious because I'm like, oh my God, like they asked my question.
Right.
And like, I didn't know what Moxley was going to say because this was live. I was listening to it live. I was doing the recap as I was typing or as I was listening. And then Moxley was just like, wow. Yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about.
He was like blown away.
Yeah. And so I'd never mentioned this to Austin or anything.
Right.
So years go by. Austin finds that interview on YouTube and is listening to the show and you text me and you're like, holy fucking shit, dude. Did you ask John Moxley a question on this like podcast?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like 4 years ago. And he's just like, I'm listening to it right now. This is so awesome.
It was like, it's funny because I'm sitting there, I'm listening to it's like a shoot, basically interview. So he's just like over the phone or whatever. And then, this next question comes in. He asks the question and it's literally the best question of the show. And I go back because I thought he said Bob's name. So I play it back and it's like, yeah, he did say fucking Bob's name. It was like, what the fuck is Bob doing on this fucking interview here?
Yeah.
Not only that, asking the best question of the show to where Moxley's like, well, that guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He was like fucking blown away.
Yeah. Well, because all the other questions, like I think it was early on into the interview, but
it was. Yeah.
All these like all those interviews are like, what's your favorite match? Or
yeah.
Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm bringing a match from 2006.
Yeah.
That probably like 20 people were watching live.
Right.
Like, anything of the nature.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, wow, I didn't think anybody remembered that.
Yeah.
I say, no, motherfucker, I do. Like, how did that go? What was that like?
Yeah.
And Moxley, remember, he was just like, I wanted to lose, but Cody wouldn't let me lose.
Yeah. Yep. Fast forward a couple years. So Moxley hits early NXT.
Yeah.
So like 2012, maybe NXT.
Yeah.
So like super early, and is on a Syracuse house show. And Bob's like, well, yeah, you guys got to see this guy. He's really good. And I'm thinking, Obi-Wan fucking jabroni over here. I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy. What the fuck? So whatever. And I look him up. So like, I look up his FCW stuff because that was maybe a year prior. So I really had to dig for it. And his FCW stuff was fucking awesome because it was just kind of really an extension of the Moxley character.
Yeah.
Sold immediately. His stuff with Regal, fucking
the Regal stuff is really
oh
good.
My God, so good. And then I had to bite the bullet, and I still listen to it today from Bob. How I basically buried Dean Ambrose before I even really gave him a shot.
Yeah, I remember like we were hanging out at Joe's house, and I was just like, guys, Dean Ambrose is like really good, and all you guys like Dallas, and I was like, whatever.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Whatever, Bob. We know you watch a lot. No, it's not whatever.
Yeah,
And then it happened. So
it happened.
but to correct, like Dallas got me on Dalton Castle. Like I was like, okay, this guy's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. I enjoyed his stuff, or still enjoy his stuff. So
right.
sometimes you just gotta watch it for yourself. I remember when he came out to fight Zack Ryder, I lost my shit because that was the same show that was Jericho and Punk.
Oh,
and I don't
okay,
think
yeah,
this wasn't advertised.
okay.
And he came out and he beat up Ryder, and he like lost by disqualification. And I told Joe, I was like, Joe, he didn't get pinned. And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, they got shit for him then, because if they didn't, he would have lost.
Right.
Like Ryder would have pinned him.
And then here comes the Shield.
And the Shield, like 6 months later, come out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. All right. So we've now spent about an hour not talking about what we originally came on here for, but we figured maybe once in a while we'll do like a top 10 or something. And maybe in the description, I'll let you guys know, hey, if you don't want to listen to us talk about our favorite wrestlers for 50 minutes, just jump to this part.
Not only that, send us your top 10. I'm really to see like what the fans of IcoPod have to say, because I'm sure the lists are probably drastically different from at least mine, maybe Bob's. So
yeah. So, like our usual guys, Campbell, Vincent, Price. Nick, who I still can't pronounce your last name, Nick O. We'll just go with that. Ian, if you guys want to, I feel like I'm forgetting somebody and they're going to fucking hate me about
Johnny
it.
Johnny B.
Johnny.
Smith.
Yeah. He didn't get in a car wreck that one time. So he's
that's
good.
True. Yeah.
He is good. So we got our normal handful of guys that interact with us. Obviously, we don't have just 5 people listening to this. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be doing it.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so here we go. Let's go into episode 59 of IcoPod. We're on our march to WrestleMania 10. We wrapped up Royal Rumble, which we both, I would say, enjoyed.
Yeah.
Let's just get some observer notes. We might have enjoyed the Royal Rumble, but surprisingly, 63% of the observer fans considered it a thumbs down.
Wow. I am surprised by that.
Yeah, I did not, comparatively to like Survivor Series, like it was a good show.
I agree.
The same voters considered the Hearts versus Quebecers as the best match, while Taker Yoko was the worst match. Yeah. What do you? What's that funny?
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah. I was gonna say, there's no real debate.
That's pretty fair. Yeah.
Just a note here for, I don't think I've mentioned it. January 17th, Raw got a 3.6. Which would make Raw the #1 show in the ratings for the first time ever.
Wow. That's big. That's huge.
Yeah. That would become a trend later on.
Sure.
Undertaker's wife recently had a child, and thus he'll be taken off television for a few months. As you'll remember, at the Royal Rumble, he kind of like resurrected out of the casket. And I got an interesting message from our friend here, Mick Price, who asked me if like we knew who the Undertaker was that got kind of lifted into the rafters. Do you have any idea who that would be?
So what did they had a stand-in, a double?
No, according to Mick, it I guess could be potentially 2 different guys, because he originally told me one guy and then he was like, oh wait, it could be this guy. But it was a wrestler.
Holy shit. One that's signed with WWE or F?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe 1-2-3 Kid because he's light.
No,
he's got long black hair. No, yeah, I don't know.
So Mick told me originally that it was reported as being Marty Jannetty.
What the fuck?
And then about 20 seconds later, he said, "Oh, well, it could have also been Brooklyn Brawler." So we don't know, but that was an interesting. I had never heard any of this.
Yeah, I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
Figured it was just some stunt guy.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like it was just like a fake body or something, but
interesting. You know what? Thinking of that though, it probably was Brooklyn Brawler with a fucking wig on. Honestly,
has Bruce Pritchard done like a Royal Rumble 94? I would have to think they would talk about it.
Yeah,
they're doing WrestleMania 10. Like they're on our same timeline because now they're doing WrestleMania 10 coming up or whatever.
I know. They just did Survivor Series not that long ago.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I would believe that though, that it was one of the wrestlers. I would easily believe that.
I would think like Adam Bomb, but Adam Bomb was out there, so it wouldn't.
Yeah, Jannetty though. I don't know if Jannetty could have pulled that off.
Janae's like small.
Even
He's
his
short.
hair is not even black.
Yeah, I think it was just like a dummy, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really weird. What a weird piece of trivia.
yeah, I had never heard any of that.
I have no idea. That might be one of them like wrestling myths, though. Like,
Right.
oh, there was two Canes,
Right.
or whatever.
Like the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 8 is really Texas Tornado.
Yeah, or whatever. That might be one of them things, but maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Ludwig Borga, one of our favorite wrestlers here on IcoPod, he broke his ankle on the January 17th MSG live watch that we did. I'm assuming he did on the floor because when we watched it, he didn't do it in the ring or anything, but he did hobble to the back. And as I noted there, we will not ever see him again on IcoPod.
I'm still very surprised by that. His run, no pun intended, was quite short.
Yeah.
So
It was a huge push, but a very short amount of time.
absolutely. I thought even before watching any of this shit, I thought he was there till 95.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're just thinking about when I would rebook him for my stuff, and I gave him a
Booked him
huge.
till 2001.
Oh, I did not.
Fucking A.
I think I had him beat Savage a couple of times. You got pissed
Probably.
off.
Yeah.
You got mad about it. But that's
Fucking A, man.
1-2-3 Kid. He will be
Mhm.
out for about 6 weeks after suffering a knee injury.
Which sucks because he's been one of our favorites on the show.
For sure. He probably could be on an honorable mention too for time.
Yeah. Fucking X-Pac, 1-2-3 Kid,
Yeah.
6-Pac. Absolutely.
And the last bit of note here is the WWF has had a tendency lately of advertising matches for Raw, but
Yeah.
doing so in a false manner. Like they weren't going to ever happen. They knew it was never going to happen, but they still promoted them as happening. Now, an example of that would be, I believe for this show, in fact, where it was promoted as being the Hearts against Headshrinkers.
Yeah.
This show was taped well before this date,
Right.
and that match was never going to happen.
Right.
They just wanted to do that to get a rating. So
Interesting.
some cheaty business there to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe lose some trust from the fans if you do that too many times.
Oh, you mean like saying Kamala's going to be in the Royal Rumble and then he ain't fucking in the Royal Rumble? Pissed. Because no Kamala means no kimchi, and fuck that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for it, but I can see why you're upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kimchi is my fucking number one in my 10 list, okay?
Yeah, how was he not your favorite talent? Like Mike Campbell,
He's
should be
number
like,
one. Fucking number one.
Hi,
okay?
Bruce is out of here. Kimchi.
Yeah,
number
fuck them all.
Fuck 'em
It's kimchi.
Oh boy. House show notes. Now this is the same weekend as the Royal Rumble. I don't want to do anything before we actually get to it. So we got 2 shows. They're on different days though. So the first one's Torrington, Connecticut at the Armory.
Mm-hmm.
Took place on January 20th, 1994. Smoking Guns took on the Red and Black Knights. Bastion Booger squared off against PJ Walker. WWF Intercontinental Champion Razor Ramon defended against Shawn Michaels in a ladder match. Headshrinkers squared off against Mountain of Mission. Owen Hart is in singles action against Jeff Jarrett. And the main event saw Bret Hart squaring off against IRS.
Oof. Sounds like a 2 or 3 match card for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably skipping it. Although the ladder match, the Owen and Jarrett match, is probably pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm skipping that one.
I think I'm going to skip it too. I mean, Ramon, Michaels, and Owen Jarrett are definitely intriguing matches here, but the idea of IRS in a main event with Bret Hart, I'm not going to fall asleep on that one. So
yeah,
there's IRS there. The second show took place the following day in Hershey, Pennsylvania at the Hershey Park Arena. Sparky Plug, who was a substitute for 1-2-3 Kid, squared off against Rick Martel. Diesel is in singles action against Marty Jannetty. Crush took on Randy Savage. WWF Tag Team Champions, the Quebecers, defended against the Steiner Brothers. Doink the Clown took on Bam Bam Bigelow. And in the main event, WWF World Champion Yokozuna teamed up with Quang, who was a substitute for Ludwig Borga, in a tag team main event against Lex Luger and Tatanka.
Yeah, I'm going to that one.
I would, yeah. I think I have to.
Comparably. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple duds on there, and I'd say even the main event's kind of a dud.
Yeah.
but that middle of the card was pretty solid. I mean, fuck it. The Steiners and Quebecers, that's a big match. Diesel Marty would have got me in the building. Yeah. I would probably go to the show. I wouldn't be buying front row, but I wouldn't be buying nosebleeds either. I'd be trying to land somewhere in the middle. Sure. First set of bleachers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think out of the two, I'm going to Hershey, PA.
Yes. Agreed. Definitely.
I didn't put anything for syndication, largely because it's the Royal Rumble. I think anything for the next couple of weeks really is already addressed on Raw anyway, so I'm not going to just repeat it four times over.
Right.
That brings us now to the January 24th, 1994 edition of Monday Night Raw, which was taped from Richmond, Virginia. And we start off, obviously, with the Raw opening video. And I have it noted here, and it ends up being wrong, and I'm sure I'll point it out. At first, I thought that commentary was going to be strictly a voiceover because we don't see Vince and Jim Ross as they go over what happened at the Royal Rumble 2 days prior. And it's mentioned that Lex Luger is the co-winner with Bret Hart, and he's in action first tonight. Yeah. So I thought maybe it was just going to be dubbed over.
Yeah.
We wouldn't see him. In fact, later on, we do see them.
Right.
I'm sure I'll note it because it's in my notes, and I don't know how to not say it. So match number one here, Lex Luger taking on Austin Steele. McMahon, sure enough, has to brag that Raw was the most watched TV show last week. We get it, Vince. We get it. You just got to relax about it. Jim Ross mentions that Luger was a Dean's List student in college, and I immediately call BS on that.
Well, and just to kind of highlight your point previously, as they were saying these things, I was watching the commentary table because they were kind of doing a wide sweeping shot. At least the first segment of this commentary is pre-recorded. Like this is not what they're talking. It's visually, you can tell.
Yeah.
But this is not what they're saying because they're not even talking at the same time as you're seeing them talk.
I had a feeling that's
yes. So it's there's definitely at least portions of this commentary that have been piped in. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, cool. Because it's funny that you were looking for that. Because
I was, yeah.
I found myself looking for it, and then I couldn't tell like who was where, so I just was like, "Fuck it, I'll just watch the match."
Yeah, no, I picked up on that, and it was pretty early on. Like I said, I don't know if it's all night because we do see them, and they are talking, and it is them.
Yeah,
it's not like a green screen background,
right?
But at least to start this off, it was definitely piped in audio for sure.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Ross also mentions, Lex Luger being an NFL player and all this stuff, and after I did some investigating months ago,
still pushing it.
That he never was. He never played it down in the NFL. He was signed to a contract, never actually played for the Packers. But Jim Ross will tell you what he wants to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Steele gets some offense after a cheap back elbow while in the ropes, and his offense is mostly just strikes. Luger fights back with a back suplex and a vertical suplex, and he hits a power slam before putting Steele on a top turnbuckle and wins the match with a superplex. Now, I got to say, I'm not really digging a superplex as a potential finisher for Luger. I don't really think it fits him. Maybe just stick to the forearm or just... I mean, back in WCW, he was doing pile drivers. I mean, why not just do something like that?
Yeah, it's funny because there's a couple, like Shawn Michaels, for example, Luger. There's guys on the roster where I feel like they're still trying to feel out a finish, and they should have that set in stone way by now. So it's really weird that, I mean, again, it's an enhancement match. Maybe they don't feel he needs to hit a finish, but at the same time, don't sell the superplex as if that was Lex Luger's finish, because as of up to this point, it's not. It's supposed to be the forearm.
Right. But the thing, and you're absolutely right about Shawn. Like he does not know his finisher.
Week to week, there's no consistency.
Or something. Yeah. And another guy though is Adam Bomb. Like one week it's the Adam Smasher, and the next week it's like a slingshot.
The clothesline off the top rope. Yeah.
Exactly. Like there's you don't know what he's going to do, which could be maybe good because he has multiple different ones, but you want to get behind a finisher. Yeah. Pretty basic match. Nothing out of the norm here.
I noticed, Luger. And you know what, too, kind of to touch back on Luger, it was almost like he was kind of overselling when the enhancement guy would take over. Luger was selling like he was getting shot. And it's like, dude, really? Come on.
Yeah, because as I mentioned, Steele got a bunch of strikes in.
Yeah.
And this dates back to a couple weeks ago when we were noticing that
He was struggling with a fucking guy.
Barry Horowitz.
And
it's just like, what the? You don't do this with the guy that you're maybe going to put the belt on.
Yeah.
And it rolled over into this one too. It was just like, what are we doing?
Well, I feel like they're trying to work a Bret Hart match where, he's a fighting baby. No.
Luger's not that guy.
He's not that guy.
No, absolutely.
So,
well, it turns out again here, Vince McMahon and Jim Ross are at ringside, and they promote the tag match that is taking place later tonight between Men on a Mission and the Headshrinkers. And then Jim Ross thinks it's going to be a slobber knocker. We will also see Jeff Jarrett, Shawn Michaels, Doink, and Adam Bomb throughout the evening as well. We then go to Todd Pettengill, who is here with the Royal Rumble report. Pettengill talks about the Royal Rumble match and that took place. That had the controversial ending where Bret and Luger co-won the match. This begs the question, who will wrestle WWF World Champion Yokozuna at WrestleMania 10? Pettengill doesn't know. Nobody knows. Jack Tunney doesn't know. He'll have an answer later this weekend on syndication, which we'll talk about next week.
Yep.
Todd talks about Yokozuna retaining the WWF World Championship against The Undertaker. It's noticeable here that Todd doesn't really go into detail about Taker because of the encore.
Yeah, and it's funny
really
because well, it's between Lex and Bret, Todd kind of gives the finish away. Like, okay, we know they both went out at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. Yoko's announced is still the WWF champion.
Mm-hmm.
He like grazes over it. Oh, you tune into that one for something supernatural, is what he says. So realistically, Todd has just given us the two biggest matches, the finish. Right. Like, we know Lex and Bret went out at the same time, and we know Yoko's the champion. Why am I going to order the fucking pay-per-view?
Yeah. I don't think he understands what encore means. I don't know if anybody's I've yet to meet anybody that's ever bought an encore presentation of a pay-per-view that's already happened.
Your hype is going to be highest the day before the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
The day after the pay-per-view, it's usually the lowest.
Right.
It's like a wave. You're riding that wave. It's the peak when the show's on. Fucking after that, Raw's going to recap everything. Who gives a fuck? Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to go spend the money after they're already talking about shit that's happened. Like, I'll catch the next one. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Todd
also talks about Owen Hart and what he did was disgraceful to his brother Bret. And he also notes that what Bret was able to do later on in the night was even more impressive because of that.
Right.
So, yeah, he's just pretty much ruined.
Just giving away too much. Yeah, just giving away too much.
He doesn't know how to properly promote something.
Right.
Vince and JR poked fun at Clinton's State of the Union or watching the encore. And Jim Ross says that he's had enough of Hillary and that he will be ordering the encore. Now, I don't know why Jim Ross would order the encore. He was there. So why would you spend another $30 or whatever it is to watch it? I would hope Vince would give him a free tape. Like,
because God damn it, I like wrestling.
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever.
No, Vince is like, you're gonna buy it. God damn it.
Gotta purchase it. We're going out of business.
There's no free rides here, Jim Ross.
WCW's got that young Eric Bischoff. I should have signed him when you sold me that goddamn broom, but I didn't do
it. He could be sitting here instead of you son of a bitch.
I was just tired. I could not have somebody better looking than me in this goddamn office. It's just not going to happen.
Fucking A.
All right. Let's go to our second match. It's Jeff Jarrett taking on John Paul. Now, John Paul is a guy that wrestled in Memphis a few times. I can already tell by your gasping that this might not be good, and we might be on the same page for this. Jarrett starts off with a drop kick. He almost gets pinned with an inside cradle, which is a recurring theme in this match. Paul, again, almost wins with a sunset flip, but then Jarrett stomps him in the corner. Jarrett delivers a sloppy fist drop off the middle rope, looking like as if he didn't even hit him.
No, it was
remotely close.
Yeah.
McMahon notes that Jarrett lasted a good amount of time in the Rumble, but that's not even true.
No.
Like, Jarrett was tossed out quick.
Yes.
We were surprised how quick he
had
been thrown out. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Jarrett hits a slingshot suplex. Paul again almost wins after avoiding an elbow drop with a roll-up. Jarrett is able to counter a roll-up, and he gets a roll-up of his own with a handful of tights for the win. I beg to ask the question here. Why are they so obsessed with making it look like Jarrett is not a capable wrestler? I get it that he's a country music guy and that's his focus, but he's looking like a scrub.
Well, and here's the thing. So this match made me realize a couple things. Okay, number one, and I just want to go through here because really, as far as the action, Bob, you pretty much highlighted everything that I had down. Although I got to touch on his outfit. I'm that guy. Okay,
You are that guy. I'm not that guy. You're that guy.
No, I'm that guy. So he comes out, and it's literally like a neon green spider web coat. It's fucking hideous. But the attire itself looks like something Savage got made up for him, and then he saw it in real life and was like, fuck no, I ain't wearing that. It looks horrible. So it's like a Savage reject outfit. It's like different colors, like neon green's the main color. He's got frills on his boots. So that just kind of gives you an idea. He did, I believe he lost the headband. Like, I don't think he was wearing a headband. So
No, he didn't have it.
step in the right direction. Okay. But the commentary made reference to Jarrett's outfit here. And Jim Ross basically said, Jarrett's bizarre, outfit choices are to stand out. That's why he makes them. But it's funny that they kind of touched on that because it's obviously on people's minds like, hey, Jarrett kind of looks like a fucking dumbass. So let's talk about that. So it was very presently obvious here that the attire for me and maybe for others is taking a lot away from Jeff Jarrett. It's not enhancing the character by any means. It's making him look like Bob said, a scrub. So kind of going into the finish and what we have noticed and what Bob has mentioned is that Jarrett keeps having kind of near upset losses to these enhancement guys, which got me thinking maybe the whole idea with this is Jarrett's coming in here talking about how he's this great wrestler or wrestled all this time and has done all this stuff, but is kind of a liar and isn't a good wrestler, just like he isn't a good country music singer. So that's what I'm trying to line it up with to make it make sense, because otherwise it makes fucking zero sense. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe, he lies about that. Maybe he's lying about wrestling and enhancement guys could maybe beat him.
I like that approach.
That's what I'm going with, because otherwise, dude, what the fuck is going on here? Why is Jeff Jarrett having to pull tights on a motherfucker who we've, never fucking give a shit about? Like John Paul, we've never seen him before. This is his first time on Raw. It's not like it's Barry Horowitz or somebody we've seen several, Iron Mike Sharp. Right. No, he's struggling and has to use the tights to get it to finish here. And then he hits his DDT after the match. It's like, well, really, what's the point?
Yeah, I was going to note that after, but I like that approach though, that he's a liar in every aspect. Like he's not a world-renowned wrestler from Memphis.
Right.
He's not even a good singer.
Right.
I like that. I can get behind that. But
he lied his way into the WWF, basically.
Yeah, but they haven't really presented that as being. They're presenting him as like he's a great wrestler.
It's legit, yeah. And the only reason he got a job is because he's a really good wrestler.
Right, but he can't beat John Paul. Like
exactly.
He's almost So that,
exactly.
I can get behind that for sure. I can if that's what they were to do, I could get behind that.
Right.
Next week, 1-2-3 Kid, mind you, he has a busted knee, will be in action against Johnny Polo on Raw. So this is where we go back to the false advertisements.
Well, I saw it announced and I was like, shit, that's a pretty good, match to hype up for. And then I'm thinking, probably not.
He won't be there. Ico Pro ad with Razor Ramon, followed by a Slim Jim ad with Randy Savage. That leads us to our third match, which would technically be the main event and technically be the featured match. It's the Headshrinkers taking on Men on a Mission, which again was promoted previously as being Headshrinkers against Brett and Owen. Mo and Fatu start the match with Mo delivering a shoulder block before dancing for a bit. Jim Ross thinks that a piece of Bret Hart's heart was broken at the Royal Rumble when Owen turned on him. That's so sweet. Fatu goes to the floor after having some issue getting any momentum on Mo. Okay. Having trouble getting momentum on Mo of all people. Okay. Let's make sure that we got that.
Oh, yeah.
Fatu, no cells being sent face first to the mat, and Savant kicks Mo. Mabel tags in, and Samu is like, nah, dude, I'm good. No, the big guy's behind you. I'm not coming in now. No, you're sticking in there. Which I thought was pretty funny. Fatu tries to slam Mabel, but that does not work. Mabel slams Fatu and then sends Samu into the corner. Mabel is met with a couple of Savant kicks. Fatu tries for a vertical suplex, but Mabel takes him over instead. Mo turns Fatu inside out with a clothesline. Again, Mo turned Fatu inside out with a clothesline.
Yep, you heard that right.
For a 2 count. And it's just hilarious that Mo is having this type of impact on the match. I just lost my place because I scrolled down too far. Here we are again. Samu kicks Mo from the apron, and then Fatu delivers a backbreaker as we go to commercial. Mo has continued to be worked over throughout the break. Double clothesline drops Mo to the mat, and Samu delivers a falling headbutt. Samu rams Mo into the ring steps while the referee was distracted by Mabel. Mo sends Samu into the steps, but that has no effect. Mo is met with a Savant kick on the floor. Samu leg drops Mo and gets a 2 count. Mo has a sunset flip, but Fatu breaks that up. Mo has an inside cradle on Samu to counter a slam for a 2 count. Samu continues with a standing drop kick. Mo continues to be worked over by the Headshrinkers. Mo crouches Fatu on the top rope and crawls towards Mabel. Samu and Mabel get the tags. Or is it Fatu? No, I guess Samu.
Mabel made the hot tag. He laid out Samu and Fatu. They were both in.
Fatu, yeah.
Yep,
Mabel clotheslines Fatu before ramming Samu into Afa on the apron, which they sell this time. So they didn't sell the first 3 times their noggins got knocked.
Where they hit heads, right.
Yeah. But this time they decide to sell it. Mabel nails Samu with a spinning heel kick for a 2 count. Fatu broke up the cover as Mo was going for the pin. Fatu Savant kicks Mo, who had tagged into the match. Samu covers Mo for a near fall. Samu dumps Mabel to the floor, and Mo is met with a double headbutt. Fatu leaps off the top to splash Mo for the victory. A decent match, better than what I was expecting. Mo taking the fall, not a surprise at all here, but a couple of storylines for the match just didn't make much sense to me. Headshrinkers are no selling, their heads getting rammed into each other wherever, but then they sell it later on. Don't understand that. Don't know why Mo
leading the charge.
Yeah, it was weird. That was just kind of bizarre, but better than what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be kind of a train wreck, but it was decent. It wasn't too bad.
Well, as you were laying it out, I was kind of remembering the match and just remembering how the Headshrinkers looked compared to Men on a Mission. And it's like, to me, and again, this is my personal opinion, it's such a mismatch. Like, the Headshrinkers are so good.
Right.
Men on a Mission just isn't. When they come out, first of all, maybe a third of the crowd was into it with the hand waving thing. So they're definitely losing steam. It's definitely one-sided. Like, the crowd is only interested in Mabel at this point, completely.
Well, I think Men on a Mission's most over in New York. Anytime they get out of
Absolutely.
New York, it's like it's just it's so drastically different.
Yeah. I agree with you. Also, as far as like in ring wise, I would say that, like Bob said, it was better than I expected. I mean, my expectations were pretty low when I realized, hey, it's going to be fucking Men on a Mission instead. I was pissed. I was like, what the fuck? It was a bait and switch. So I was pretty disappointed with that. Could have been worse. And, at least the right people won. And it was a relatively clean win. So, if nothing else, it went quite a while. Like, they got a good amount of time.
Yeah, I think it was like 13 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Other than that, Bob pretty much covered it as far as action goes. I really didn't have anything else too much highlighted. Middle of the road for me. I mean, nothing you got to go out of your way to see, for sure. It wasn't the worst thing we've ever seen. But just Men on a Mission, man, and I've said this before, they just do nothing for me. Like, I have no interest whatsoever in that team.
I like Mabel.
Yeah.
I think that's the case for a lot of people. After the match, Mabel clotheslines the Headshrinkers because that's what babyfaces do to get their heat back. So that's what they went with there.
Yeah.
We go right into our fourth match of the evening. It's Adam Bomb, one of our personal favorites here on IcoPod, taking on Tommy Angel. Angel dropkicks Bomb a few times, but his offense is rather short-lived. Bomb hip tosses Angel out of the corner. Bomb nails Angel with a standing dropkick, and he soon comes off the top to hit a flying clothesline. And then Bomb finishes Angel off with the Adam Smasher for the victory. Seems like a singles match maybe to get some momentum for Adam Bomb. Certainly doesn't have any. Hasn't had any since he came into the company.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are you losing hope here for Adam Bomb?
You know what? Yes and no. So really quick, again, to touch on attires, Bomb's got a new black and green attire here, kind of like a radioactive green. He's got some of the coolest gear of anybody right now. You know, last couple of months have been really cool for him as far as what they're kind of doing with his look. But again, he looked unstoppable here. He manhandled the fucking guy. Hits the Adam Smasher. Everything's no problem. A good showing. Bomb had a good showing here. And it's like, you know what it's like? So let's compare it to a sport Bob's really heavily looking into right now. So say, for example, baseball, right? One of your favorite players, every time he gets up to the plate, he fucking cracks the ball, right? And it's always just short of a home run. It's hitting the back fence every time. He's got no men on bases, so it's really not doing much, but it's like, fuck, if that would have been a little bit closer, would have been out of the park. That's what every enhancement match Adam Bomb is, and then nothing follows up. He's fucking cracking the ball. You're hoping it's going over, and it just falls short. That's what Adam Bomb feels like to me, because he's getting no substance. Like, nothing's happening. He's making the plays as much as he can, but nothing's happening, and it sucks.
Yeah, I'm getting disappointed at this point. There's just nothing. He's involved in nothing.
It's hard to hang on. It really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
What are you doing when you have a guy who's like 6'9" or whatever, and he's just flying in the air, you know, like an Undertaker, and you're just refusing to do anything?
Right.
I really think Harvey Whippleman as his manager was a bad move.
It's an anchor. Yeah. I don't think Bomb needs one. Honestly, I don't.
No, he doesn't need to talk.
Just don't talk. Exactly. Do the fucking Goldberg thing when he first he's not talking.
Right.
He's a radioactive mutant. He doesn't need to talk.
Yeah, just stick out your tongue and have your yellow eyes.
There you go. We can be done with it. So, and it's funny too, because Bomb's unfortunately not the only casualty of this time. We've seen at this point kind of countless guys come in that were like, we're super excited. The ball gets dropped, and then they're just floating out in space. The Smoking Guns, fucking Bam Bam Bigelow, Mr. Hughes. The list goes on and on. It's like these guys come in, and it's like, okay, I'm going to put all my chips. I'm going to put all my chips here. All my chips are going in this basket. I'm ready. I'm behind this guy. He's getting these killer enhancement, and then nothing. And sometimes it's even worse. Sometimes they just get they get doinked. Like Bam Bam got doinked. And then There you go. That's what we got. So I don't know. As long as he's staying level, maybe not, he's not going up, but at least he's not going down. So I don't know.
I feel like as soon as he goes down, it's going to be a plummet.
No, that's it. Yeah. As soon as they crack that armor, it's done. He's done.
Yeah. Well, let's go into some good news. A vignette promoting Sparky Plug is shown. And of course, Sparky Plug made his debut at the Royal Rumble, so this is kind of weird. But Plug wants us to smell the fuel in the burning tires. He's got his pedal to the metal, and he's coming to the WWF. He'll be making his in-ring debut this weekend, though again, he already did at the Royal Rumble. So
Yeah.
your friendly race car driver, Sparky Plug's coming to the WWF, even though he's already here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had the same thing noted. Yeah. We've already seen him, assuming that you bought the pay-per-view and you're a WWF fan. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's just so early 90s. Like, listen to them roll. You hear them engines roaring? You smell that fuel, those tires burning? I'm going to be wide open, pedal to the metal. Coming to the WWF.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Sparky Plug is going to be a guy that I'm going to enjoy seeing get beat up.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Because he just looks like a guy who's like, I could do this wrestling thing. I'm driving cars real fast. And then just see him get like his head kicked off by fucking Fatu or something. He just stood up at, what the hell was that? Shit.
Yeah, dude. Just that
hurt.
He's a fucker. You can already tell that this guy's a fucker. Yeah. And like you said, you want him to get beat up. And you know it's gonna happen. Like, you know it's gonna happen. I don't know. I don't get the race car thing. I don't know why he would want to be a pro wrestler. Like, why does a successful race car driver want to be a pro wrestler? Who gives a fuck?
By the way, Sparky Plug has a book out as well. It's called The Hardcore Truth. So if you want to...
Yeah, well, here's the hardcore truth. Fuck Thurman Plug. Wow. Not interested. Pass.
I'm letting your fiance know that we're sexting right now instead of doing a podcast. So if Katie comes into the room and screams, "What the hell's going on?" just pull up your pants.
You ruined my gimmick here.
Why?
Fiance.
Fiance.
Yeah, it's French. Fiance.
Fiance.
So yes, that's good. Yep. Send a picture of your very low hanging nuts, Bob.
I do every night. Match number 5, Doink the Clown.
Yeah, speaking of doinks, Doink the Clown's up next.
Yeah, Doink and that Dink. How they doing? They both alive still, or love those guys? They're so good.
Pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal. Shit, yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, okay, so you're a fiance. You just said, yeah, but I get to sleep next to him. So, yeah, but I get to see him naked.
That's right. Hot nuts. And I ain't talking ballpark peanuts either.
Naked.
So as Bob proceeds to sex my fiance, Doink and Dink come out to take on an enhancement guy here. Dink brought out a dog leash and a collar and basically pretended that there was an invisible dog connected to it. So he's shaking the leash. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty fucking good.
Well, so okay, I was just looking through a magazine, and there's like a wrestler. Oh, what's his name? Milano Collection AT or something like that.
Okay,
and he had the same thing.
Really,
he had a leash, but had no dog on it.
So he's ripping off a Dink the Clown segment.
I guess. I was just looking through it like yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck? I just saw Doink do this. Like,
wow.
Maybe Doink took it from him. I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. It was pretty funny. Like, it did. The way the little Dink was like shaking the leash, it did look like the dog was like yipping around. So it was funny. It worked for me.
Was it funny when Joey pet the dog?
No, because the bark that scared him made me just say, what the fuck? It's one thing for, he's clowning around. Look at him. He's pretending. And then the guy proceeds to pet an invisible dog and get scared by an invisible, unaudible bark from the said imaginary dog. So right there, you just guaranteed yourself you're not getting a job. Is basically what I got from that. Wasn't looking forward to this one, Bob. Go ahead and rattle us through and get us away from here as quick as possible.
All right. Well, Stallings hit a side slam, but then misses a dropkick attempt. Doink connects with a standing dropkick followed by a side suplex. Doink then power slams Stallings and hits the whoopee cushion for the win. And as you have just said, I honestly dread having to see Doink. So what's the point of even continuing to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. They, Doink hits the whoopee cushion, look decent, and they celebrate to the dog, and it was cut away real quick. They did not get a lot of time here. Thank God.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have 2 years left of babyface joint. So we won't be getting much quick cutaways from him. We'll have to deal with this until about summer of 95. A video promoting the encore presentation of the 1994 Royal Rumble event is shown. Again, Todd just ruined it for us like 20 minutes ago. So why the fuck would you? Main event, Shawn Michaels taking on Tyrone Knox. Michaels slaps the back of Knox's head after a drop toe hold, showing his complete disrespect. He then misses a splash in the corner, hitting his shoulder. Knox gets sent to the floor where Diesel's waiting, and it looks like he's about to hit him, but he's like, nah, Tyrone, I'm just going to throw you back into the ring. Michaels connects with a standing drop kick. Knox no sells, being sent into the corner, gets some momentum, but then runs into a super kick. Michaels wins the match following a pile driver. A better enhancement match than what we just watched, but I mean, they're just enhancement matches, so there's nothing really to talk about for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, at least this one had some substance to it. Shawn, first of all, is looking really trim.
A lot better than what he SummerSlam.
Night and day. Night and day. Shawn is he's getting to be in, memory Shawn shape from like early mid 90s. So he's kind of moving away from the larger frame, getting down to the slimmer, trimmer Shawn Michaels. His hair is growing out a little bit longer. So it's not quite as bad of a mullet, although it's still...
The mullet was pretty funny, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's still kind of right there, but it looks like he's wetting his hair more to kind of flatten it a little bit, make it so it's not so tall. Yeah. So we're getting to the Shawn Michaels we all know. So that's kind of exciting to see and see the progression of. This, first of all, they first call him Tyrell Knox. So I don't know if it's Tyrell or Tyrone because I'm pretty sure
Tyrone.
Well, I'm pretty sure Vince is saying Tyrell and JR is saying Tyrone.
Well, it's fucking Tyrone because Tyrone's better than Tyrell.
So I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. But yeah, it was a decent little match. Again, Shawn hitting the pile driver for the finish. A little confusing because which one are you going to fucking go with? Let's just pick one and go with that. But it's like he's changing it every show at this point, it feels like. So I just wish they would stick with the super kick and call it there because obviously we're going to get to that point. All in all, like Bob said, decent, nothing crazy. It's been pretty much all enhancement matches other than the Men on a Mission fucking match with Headshrinkers. But what are you going to do? It's Raw. Am I right?
That's right. It would be interesting, though, to see just exactly when he uses the super kick as his primary move.
Yeah, because I'm hoping that we're getting there. I'm hoping.
Yeah, we got to be pretty close to it, I would have to think. Next week, Quang will be in action. Bret Hart will be on WWF Radio. Owen Hart will be interviewed from he'll have an interview on All American and will be shown next week. Lex Luger and Bret Hart will be interviewed, and IRS will be the guest commentator next week as well. So that wraps up the January 24th edition of Raw. Final thoughts here. I thought there was some good coverage on Royal Rumble, even though they spoiled the encore part of it. But they focus on the right things, I would say, like as a buffer week for the next set of programming. Feature match was decent. And for the enhancement matches, they used entertaining wrestlers or characters that I'm interested in for the most part, aside from Doink.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain with that. So I would say for like a buffer week, it was okay. Is it something you need to see? If you watch the Royal Rumble, you can probably skip this one.
Yeah, I had so definitely underline 2 words here: filler week for sure. There was nothing really built on as far as new stuff. Again, it's a night after Royal Rumble.
2 nights because it was on Saturday.
Oh, that's right. So 2 nights after the Royal Rumble, pre-taped shit. So Definitely probably skip this one unless you're a completist and you want to see every Adam Bomb match ever in WWF. There's one on here. It's a decent enhancement match. Other than that, nothing really stood out to me. I'm still trying to hang on to Adam Bomb. I still like the Headshrinkers, even though fucking don't like Men on a Mission. I don't know. Not much to really talk about this week. I'm glad we kind of filled the week out with our lists at the top.
Yeah, we might have to think of other lists to do. Maybe not every week, because obviously we do 2 shows every time we sit down. So maybe one of those weeks or one of those episodes, we'll do a top 10 list and have fun with it moving forward. So keep an eye on that. If you have suggestions, maybe for lists, maybe like a top 5 list, like maybe a top 5 WrestleManias or whatever.
And we've even gone over some stuff. So like I can think of like the top 10 punchers in the business because we've talked about that.
Sure.
Top 10 German suplexes or whatever. It could be whatever. But there's already been stuff that we've kind of touched on. So it'd be interesting to maybe examine that further. But yeah, that might be a cool thing to do moving forward. I could think of a couple different lists.
Yeah. Top 10 favorite variations of Doink.
Top 10 meals that you've seen in Bastion Booger's chest hair.
That's a winner.
Right.
You could probably make a list of 30 for that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, we are heading towards WrestleMania 10, which will be taking place at Madison Square Garden. After next week's episode, I think there's 4 more Raws, and we have a special March to WrestleMania 10 that we got to get through. And then we'll be going to WrestleMania 10. I think we're going to stick to the same format where we'll watch it and we'll go through notes instead of any kind of live watch. Although the live watch from Madison Square Garden house show seems to be getting some pretty good reviews. People have asked me numerous times about the live watch moving into IcoPod. That may happen when we get to the Monday Night War era.
Right.
Because I don't think Austin and I ideally would want to spend.
There's going to be so much content, dude. It's almost impossible.
Yeah. Right. So it would be easier if we were just to get together, watch a 45-minute episode, talk about it.
Yeah.
Instead of having to watch it and do it that way. So that will definitely transition into something like that in the future. But for right now, we're going to focus on the notes and kind of going over it. I think eventually if we get into live watches, I mean, I have reviews of them anyway. But like if we didn't use audio, I can probably just highlight what they were talking about. Or if we just want to put our headphones in and have it relatively low, that way we can still hear each other. And just do it like that way or something. But we'll figure it out when we get there in about a year and a half. So
yes.
Don't you worry about it now. I know Michael Vincent's really looking forward to us covering Superstars from July 21st, 1996. More power to you.
One day, brother. One day.
Yeah, one day at a time. But yeah, so just be on the lookout for future live watches probably the next couple of weeks, because because before I was saying, hey, maybe we'll do one before each pay-per-view. If we do a few in a row, maybe we'll do one every 4 or 5 episodes. Who knows? Just to get more content out there.
Right.
For our listeners who've been following us since the beginning, which obviously we appreciate.
Plus, we know those live episodes do break up things quite a bit. I know, like for me, example, when I listen to podcasts, I always like with some of my favorite podcasts, they'll kind of go and do a live watch and just kind of kick back, relax, BS. And sometimes that makes for either the funniest stuff or the most interesting stuff when, opinions clash and stuff like that. But for us, I think it's also important too, because of, especially for Bob, who's a completist, to kind of have everything concise right now. So our notes, our house show stuff, observer stuff, I think is important for now. And I'm glad that we're kind of doing it that way, because for people who maybe don't have the network or don't have time to sit down and watch these back, but love that era and don't hear enough about it, here's a free platform where we're recapping everything for you, and you can go about your day while you listen. So hopefully that's the case for most of you guys, but we know that the live watches are a big hit as well, and we're not ignoring that. So like Bob said, maybe, down the road here, that's kind of the route we go. But for now, I think we're doing it pretty good. We've been doing it long past a year now. The only thing is missing is we need to grow IcoPod a little bit. So we need some shares. We need some more likes, or else we're going to come to your fucking house and we're not going to drop off fucking Tully's tenders. We're going to drop off a flaming bag of shit and you're going to have to put it out with your boots. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to explain the reference there, but I think I'm going to keep it to an IcoPod
We're
inside
going to leave
joke.
it there. Yeah, we're going to leave it there.
Leave it as an inside joke.
That's right.
Yeah, no, guys, if you want to share it around, that'd be cool. We do it obviously just for fun. If it was a matter of us not having 3 million listeners, we would have stopped at Royal Rumble 93.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a fun thing. And we hope you guys all enjoy it. I would hope you guys enjoy it. Otherwise, why the hell are you listening? It doesn't make any sense.
Let somebody else listen. Move over.
Yeah. At least I get good shows on this too. Unlike Rory from Wrestling 20 years ago, who gives me all the shitty ones.
We've already apologized to him. Now you got to do it again. Fuck.
Right, go off the air. Go off the air. All right. Here, I'll delete it. Right.
Yeah,
hey,
All
hey, Bob, delete this. Rory knows I'm joking. Yeah. All right. So you got anything else, Austin? Or is this good for episode 59?
Let's call that an episode. We're on to the next one.
All right. I was going to say ladies and gentlemen, but just gentlemen. There's no ladies listening to this. All right, gentlemen. This has been another episode of IcoPod.
You got to hear it.